Hey, that's not the normal music.
It's not, and I messed it up. I've started out.
Oh, gosh. I was so excited for today's show, too. And now I'm just angry as the tiniest of hornets. Fine. I'm still good enough to do it. I'm going to do it a cappella like Boys to Men. It's so hard to say goodbye? Is that what it would be?
Yeah, I'd go with that one.
Okay. Yes. It's just not the same.
No, I know.
Can you replay it?
I could. How?
They're mad in the YouTube chat now.
Well.
And they're talking about Omar Oliveras?
Interesting. Yeah, I could play the game.
All right, let's do this.
Just one moment. You're just going to have to give me
It's pissing me off. I wonder if Rocky wants to do 4 hours. I don't know. Tanner might want to do 4 hours. Oh, Marsh, coming early.
You ready?
Yep. Yes. All right, now I feel like I'm at home. Now I'm in my recliner. Now I like it. Jackson's bouncing around. Here we go. Let's go. Well, Jackson, welcome to July 3rd, 2024. It's Balloon Party. Timothy, Michael, McKernan, Jackson, Bennett, Burkett with you on the program. All I know is the last 2 days, Jackson has said at 10:55, and I got this great question, but I'll have to save it for the next show because I don't want to waste it at 10:55.
That's right.
So you know what I'm doing right here at 10:06, Clarkson Jewelers time check? What's the question?
It's a question. All right. Let's talk about the idea of expectations in St. Louis sports teams. To me, there's two types. There is legacy expectations and there is real-time expectations. The legacy expectations are a part of the history of each team, woven in the fabric over years. Simple, but Cardinals are always in it. Blues have runs of great, but up until 2019, couldn't reach the top. Mizzou always rips your heart out, and same with ILL and SLU fans. Hope for the best and expect the worst. Then you have real-time expectations that are year by year. The Cardinals are experiencing that, and Mizzou football is experiencing that in a major way. Do you think real-time expectations are a bigger byproduct of the fan base or the media in 2024, or is that chicken and egg? And secondly, how would you describe local teams' performance with expectations over the last 25 years?
Wow. Yeah, if you would have asked that with 3 minutes left.
I wouldn't have even got the question done.
All right. I like where you're going. You've table set for the day.
I have.
That's the show right there. That's the show. But I need you to go step by step here with this. And I need you to, because I feel like when you're talking about legacy, it's obvious you're talking about the St. Louis baseball Cardinals.
Sure.
But then you're talking about year by year as well. And then you cited the 2024 Cardinals.
Yep.
So I need you to, which is amazing to say after a 5,000-word question, but I need you to elaborate or perhaps specify how you'd like this discussion to start. I'm chomping at the bit to do it. And by the way, I need to ask this question on the front end. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to be a Missouri fan. Been one I can remember crying in the stands at the Missouri-Notre Dame game in 1984 at Faurot Field when Missouri missed a short field goal to lose to the Fighting Irish, which I believe was the beginning of the decline for Missouri football that lasted for 13 years. And certainly Missouri basketball has had plenty of NCAA tournament heartbreak, well before the Norfolk State debacle. But I don't know what an Illinois fan's mindset is. I don't think of Illinois in the same way as I think of Missouri. I don't think you have to be a Missouri fan to know that Missouri has kind of a pre-2016 Chicago Cubs, pre-2004 Boston Red Sox kind of history with famous. You don't have to be a Missouri fan to know about the fifth down. You don't have to be a Missouri fan to know about Norfolk State. You don't have to be a Missouri fan to know about the famous kicked ball by Nebraska. These are kind of, and Tyus Edney for that matter. These are significant moments that across the board, minus Norfolk State, all occurred against eventual national champions. Colorado in 90, UCLA in 95 in basketball, and Nebraska co-national champions in 97 with Brian Griese's Michigan team. And Tom Brady, maybe? I don't know if he was on that team or not, but either way, he was on his way. So, Illinois, I don't know. They probably think of 2005 as a missed opportunity right here in St. Louis. I don't know what football. Missouri's got it on both fronts. And then St. Louis U, of course, with no football. I don't know if St. Louis U views itself as tortured, like with those incidents, or just like we feel like we're a program that can get there, but they haven't been able to get over that? I don't know. So I'm coming from a good place here on trying to understand. We want to talk about the Cardinals and the Blues and Missouri. I feel like I can speak emotionally on those because I am emotional about those. I don't know how hardcore Illinois fans and hardcore Billiken fans would view themselves as a fan base, because I'm telling you, Missouri fans view. I just watched Gabe DeArmond, Power Mizzou. He'll be with us every week this year, both on TMA and Balloon Party, and he did an interview with John Anderson, who just retired after 25 years on SportsCenter.
Yeah, the great John
Missouri journalism guy, and John Anderson was talking about how he, Gabe goes, yes or no, will Missouri be in the college football playoff this year? And John Anderson said, I just can't go there. And his reasoning was, I just expect the worst. And that's what, as a Missouri fan, you expect.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to get inside the minds of the Illinois fan and the St. Louis U fan for the purpose of Jackson's question.
Yeah, and I can't speak with any expertise on either because I'm not a fan. I'm not a hater of either school, but I'm a Missouri guy through and through. With Illinois, I feel like you referenced 05. I think it's not only like a missed opportunity thing. I think it's kind of like after the fact, kind of got screwed out of it based on what happened with the North Carolina academic scandal. And then they're kind of been middle of the road football-wise, but basketball-wise had teams that are outstanding but can't get over the hill. And then I feel like SLU fans feel like they're in mid-major jail where they can't be VCU where they have a run. They can't be Butler where they go on a run. They're just a little bit short of it, but they're a good program. And so I feel like I lump the three together because they're kind of like, even when you have the big expectations for them, they've yet to come through all the way. And obviously in college sports, it's going to be way tougher to go through all the way. A 2019 Blues run, well, how improbable it seemed in January, it's just really hard to win a national championship in both football or basketball in college sports.
But still to be in the mix, and I don't really feel like Illinois football's been in the mix.
Basketball-wise, though, I would say they have.
But basketball, absolutely. I'm curious, I can recall the 89 team that went to the Final Four, and that one was sick. They lost to Michigan, and I think Michigan Michigan beat Seton Hall. I believe that was the case that year. And then the next years would be the final, or the Fab Five years.
Yeah.
So with that said, I like Jackson's question. So let's start with let's go piece by piece here. So let's go with part one of your wonderful question.
Right. So we talked about legacy expectations that we were just talking about with the three college teams, and then obviously Blues and Cardinals have their own legacy expectations, real-time expectations, year by year, real-time. I would say my question there is, do you think that there's a bigger byproduct? Like, who creates the expectations? Is the fan base shaped by the media, or the media shaped by the fan base? Is it chicken and egg? Who kind of creates the expectations?
All right, so starting there, this is one of those topics that gets me going, because I believe with social media, many people in our industry, and I can't say in media, I'm part of it, have in the last, I'm going to say decade, it's probably decade and change, have gone from, and I'm not saying everyone to be clear, but have gone from writing or saying what they think to writing or saying what they think will either get them likes or will get them engagement. And so therefore, what people read or what people hear or watch, I think, is way more distorted in 2024 than it was, let's say, in 2004. I feel super strongly about that.
Yeah.
And so, for example, in St. Louis, the approval rating for the Cardinals, which is, I said yesterday, I think even people who are hardcore fans would acknowledge, well, this isn't a great team. It's a team that could wind up making a run, but it's not a great team. 2004, great team. 2005, great team. And then I think others would throw in, take your pick if we're going back to 2000. 2000 is a great team. 2009 is a great team. 2013, 2015. There's been plenty to choose from. This is just kind of like a team that's by definition in the playoffs, but wouldn't have been in the playoffs before the playoffs expanded. But if you were to go to like approval rating for the Cardinals nationally, it would be way higher than what it is locally. And then you go, well, why is that? Is that the media getting the fans upset, or is that the fans getting the media, or the fans upset? And here, I don't think it's a case of the media getting fans upset. I think, if anything, my criticism of the Cardinals, I think I'm probably in the minority with regard to St. Louis area media. And that's not like, look at me, I'm brave. I don't really, I just tell you what I think. I don't really care. You like it, you don't like it, whatever. This is what I think. But my place isn't coming from they're evil and hoarding money, which I think is kind of like that's like the populist take.
Right.
My thought is they are actually concerned about their financial position, and therefore they're kind of hedging by doing short-term deals and spinning to the fan base that, well, we solved the pitching problem, we're ready to go, so we're going to give Ali Marmol an extension. Just bizarro world logic to me. Personally, this is personal, I like what the Blues did with Doug Armstrong, setting the expectations and not BSing people. That's what I like. But I also am somebody who I think is in the minority when it comes to, if you don't see a team as a real championship contender, pull the plug and bring yourself closer to a championship by taking a step backwards, as counterintuitive as that might be. But with that said, I just acknowledged it's a minority thought process. And so if you're in the business of appealing to the most people, well, then therefore you're not going to take a minority strategy. So I think the Cardinals have, in a way, become a victim of their success, in that their sustained perennial greatness from damn near every year of 2000 through 2022 came to set up this Alabama football, Duke basketball expectation that is just inevitably that you're going to have a crash. And last year was a crash that I don't think people were necessarily thinking it was a great team, but just didn't expect it to be that bad. And then because 3 million people come to watch them play, in part because they're great, in part because it's a regional franchise, then fans go, well, if you get 3 million people, you have an obligation to spend and spend and spend. And so I think that is what has created a chasm between the fan base and the organization. When in reality, I think people around baseball nationally would go, why in the hell are Cardinal fans so angry? Because look at what you've had.
Right, the legacy expectation.
That's where it goes into the legacy expectation. So the Blues, meanwhile, which have had similar middling or bad seasons, the last 2 regular seasons, do not have the same kind of disgust, I guess, that I think goes on from some Cardinal fans. I really do think there is a healthy portion of the Cardinal fan base this year that considers them Cardinal fans, but wants to see the team fail with the belief that that will lead to some kind of significant change. And while I understand the thought process, I don't think that the lack of change is rooted in satisfaction so much as it's rooted in financial purgatory. But nobody's really talking about the financial purgatory, and I certainly know if there's one thing that the public doesn't like, it's hearing about from rich guys talking about their financial troubles.
Right.
And so you don't hear it talked about. But I think that plays a role in it. Meanwhile, if the Blues don't make the playoffs, or if they do make the playoffs and are gone in a couple of home games, people are like, well, at least Mr. Stillman got himself some home games because he needs the money. So how the two are viewed so differently is something that I'm not sure as to the reasoning. I just know from being in the market for as long as I've been and growing up here that that is the way that it's not entirely, but for a large portion of the fan base, they're viewed differently. Specific to Missouri, Jackson, what I have observed, I said this in our sales meeting yesterday, and I don't know what your perspective on this is. In my lifetime, I'm not talking about going back, I'm talking about my lifetime, 47 years old. In my lifetime, I have never experienced the kind of anticipation for a Missouri football season that I'm seeing in 2024. I've never seen the expectation. The only thing that would, to me, would be comparable would be 2008 following the 2007 season, because so many of those guys were coming back. And I, too, kind of like John Anderson, I continue to say, if I could, well, I can, but I don't want to, take the under on the Missouri win total. Not because I think they'll be bad, but because the win total's 9.5. And when you have to go to Tuscaloosa and you have to go to College Station and you host Oklahoma and you have to win 2 of those 3 plus every other game, mathematically, that strikes me as relatively obvious that is less than 50%. And game theory dictates that if you have an edge, you make the play. So with that established, it's something as a Missouri fan I've always wanted. I've been frustrated by what I feel like a hardcore Missouri fan's expectations of, oh, well, they went to a bowl. It was a good year. F that.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Now, I love that the expectations are high. I love that people who did not go to Missouri are engaged in Missouri football and looking forward to the college football season. If you would have told me this is what would have been going on this time last year, I would have said, how in the hell is that possible?
Right.
But that's what's gone on, and that's a great thing. Again, with the exception of 2008, never anything close, but even then, I didn't see anything like what's going on right now. People are talking about Missouri football, and hell, you and I would tell you in 2022, I told James Carlton, he was the sponsor, I said, hey, man, we can keep doing the Gabe segments, but when we have Gabe on in the 2022 season, nobody cares. Yep. We get 0 texts. Nobody cares. You know, they're a middling team. And within a year, the perspective has changed. The risk is it can come crashing down with I don't know what the loss would be that's realistic. I mean, you'd like to think Murray State and Buffalo isn't, a possibility.
But A&M.
God. Well, A&M wouldn't be a bad loss.
No, but like outside of the 2 losses that you might have chalked up to
there's
Oklahoma
3 that are certainly in play when you look at the schedule.
Yeah, maybe South Carolina. Going to South Carolina.
I'm talking about something early on in the season. It's like a Boston College, Vanderbilt, Auburn kind of thing.
Got a losing streak to Boston College going on right now.
Is that right?
Well, 1 loss.
Oh,
since
nice.
the Connor Bazelak years.
That's right. So with that said, I love it, but I also operate in the premise of, oh, God, this equity could come crashing, kind of like 2008. I mean, that became a bit of a debacle relative to what the expectations were. So that is my perspective. What is your perspective? I love the question from Jackson Bennett Burkett today. It is Balloon Party. Your thoughts are welcome. 314-399-9646. And the YouTube chat I see is active as the day is long. 101 ESPN YouTube chat. This is Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, presenting sponsor of Balloon Party on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. The place I go and everyone in my family goes to get our vehicles online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. Go shopping right now. Rainy day in the St. Louis area. That doesn't mean you can't go and check out what they've got, because you can do it right now on your phone at stlouisacura.com or at altontoyota.com. They have a great special that they have offered up to the loyal listeners of TMA, and we bring over here to Balloon Party, and that is the following: a 2024 Acura MDX Premium, no money down, $589 a month. That's what they're offering at Munganess for a new 2024 Acura MDX Premium. And you can check it out at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. On top of that, if you do need to get your car serviced, get it serviced at Munganess, St. Louis Acura, or Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. They're online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. Welcome back, Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you for our 1 hour of midday radio magic. And, of course, mainly for the ladies, the YouTube channel, which is active, Jackson. The people are in there and they're talking it over.
Oh, yeah?
Like Willie TPS reports and John Scores.
Willie TPS reports?
Now, there's Willie, space, comma, TPS reports. Now there's Eric Cleveland.
Okay. There was Cleveland. He was from Detroit. Forrest Gump.
Nice.
Forrest Gump.
Jackson has a great question today, and for those of you just joining us, I want to get your thoughts. We've gotten some really good texts on the question. Jackson, go ahead and if you could, maybe see if you can get this land the plane in 15 seconds. Right. I know there's a lot there.
I'll truncate it. So to me, there's legacy expectations. There's year by year. Legacy is built up over time. Real time is going on year by year. My question to Tim was, do you think the real-time expectations are a bigger byproduct of the fan base or the media in 2024? And secondly, how would you describe local teams' performance with expectations over the last 25 years? I also have a bonus third freestyle question that I'll pose.
Fire it at the pot.
How long do you think it needs to change a legacy expectation?
Okay, what are we doing here?
How long does it take?
Because you said, how long does a change need to change? How long does it take to change a legacy? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Change the narrative on your team. And what's an example of someone a team who's done it?
Absolutely. Can you think of one?
Yes.
The most obvious one, I think?
Boston Red Sox?
No. Although, same region.
Pats?
100%.
Yeah.
They were kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Going in. I remember when the Rams were playing them, and I wanted to. Do you remember who the Patriots played in the AFC Championship game? I know you can't because you were 3.
AFC, you said.
Nice. Buying time.
Buffalo?
No, I'm sorry. Pittsburgh Steelers. In Pittsburgh, for that matter.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Do you remember who the Titans played in the AFC Championship game when the Rams played and you were 8 months old?
Oh. It couldn't have been the Buccaneers. Couldn't have been the Bucks.
Right, just mainly because of the conference and the fact that the Rams played them.
Yeah, that's
those are the 2 reasons.
Well, yeah, for those 2 reasons that I can't say the Buccaneers. So that's a big game, right? That was like a notable game that I don't have the answer for that one, Tim. I don't have it. Denver Broncos.
No, I'm sorry. Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh wow, really? Yeah. How deep into the franchise are they?
I'm virtually certain of that.
5 years in, less.
Oh yeah, well the both the Titans and the Jaguars and the Panthers made it to their conference championship games. I think in the same year, like in their second year of the franchise existence,
VGK style.
It was kind of random along those lines. But the reason I bring that up is because with respect to the Steelers, hold on a second. Was the Titans lost to the? I take that back. They played the Steelers. Huh. In both cases, they played the Steelers? I don't think that's right. I apologize. I'm doing this on the fly. The divisional championship game was against Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, too.
Duval.
And they won 33-14. The Patriots, with Tom Brady getting hurt and Drew Bledsoe coming into the game, beat the Steelers. And I wanted to see the Rams play the Steelers because I wanted to see, kind of like I keep wanting to see a Cardinals-Yankees World Series.
Right.
I wanted to see the Rams play against a storied franchise.
Blues-Bruins.
As it turns out, I will always be able to tell my kids, and if I'm lucky enough to be around for grandkids, that I saw the beginning of what will still be talked about.
Yeah.
The Patriots dynasty, because it lasted for damn near 2 decades. But at the time, the Patriots, I've been to 2 Super Bowls, I think both in New Orleans beforehand, too, coincidentally. This one was going to be in New Orleans as well. And they got worked over by the 85 Bears, and they got worked over by Desmond Howard and Brett Favre. And now the Rams are going to work them over. This is going to be boring. So that is a franchise that up until, I guess, a few years ago at this point, but, I mean, that was just the team. But when it started in 2001, they were just kind of like a
afterthought.
I don't know. I mean, I would say Pittsburgh Pirates, but at least the Pirates had a run, and have had separate runs. It's just been a good long while. The Patriots had never really done anything. So,
yeah, on that, I brought up the Red Sox, and then you brought up the Patriots. for people my age, casual sports fans my age, less so maybe the Red Sox because of the curse of Bambino thing. But if you were to tell them like the Patriots were nothing and this has like that would be news to like it's shocking to them. That's how much the narrative has shifted. People my age, that's foreign to them to think that the Patriots were ever not a dynasty, you know, or the Red Sox aren't this great team, right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't know who. I mean, I guess. I mean, you would view the Pittsburgh Pirates as a joke franchise.
Certainly.
But in the early 1990s, they absolutely dominated.
Yeah.
You know, they had Bonds and Bonilla.
Right.
And then in the 70s, they had the We Are Family team that predates me. But and then the famous, you know, they had a handful of teams before that. Point being, the Patriots were just a nothing. And then they absolutely changed their with the Cardinals and the Yankees and the Giants. Those are teams that have been there. Now, so you're talking about legacy changing. I don't think 2019 changed the legacy for the Blues.
No.
If 2020 doesn't get cut short and they win the Cup, and that team very well could have, it really could have. That's not revisionist history. There, that team was a damn good team and was trending when the season got shut down. Now, you had the Bouwmeester situation, which could have impacted things significantly. But that team was trending, and you win back-to-back. Now you got a little something going.
Right.
Like the Tampa Bay Lightning, for example.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Lightning had been to a Cup final, or a Cup for that matter, but that wasn't viewed, I think, before they went on this run of being like, oh, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning got, I think, swept out of the first round the year the Blues won the Cup, but they won the President's Trophy
by an
that
8
year.
seed, right? Yeah,
that's right. So, you know, a couple of championships back to back, and the goal for I remember this going into your association, and I'll just stop by for 20 seconds, and then I'll get out of it. Don't
Feel
worry.
free to stick around, though.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm just going to stop by when David Lee went to the Warriors, and I'm like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
that sucks for
Baron
him.
Davis era.
You know?
Yeah.
But then look at how we view the Warriors, especially fresh off of Klay Thompson leaving, and now the talk of, you know, Steph Curry saying, you know, nobody will ever duplicate what we did because we changed the game with what they did. So an era, a couple of players can change how a franchise is viewed, and then they become a legacy franchise.
Yeah. In the case of the Patriots, 2 human beings, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. That's obviously leaving out some important factors into that. But those 2 completely changed the narrative on an entire franchise, maybe for a good long while. Now, someone like the Cardinals, and especially with baseball, because it's been around for so long, you have championships going back to the 20s. When you're an 11-time NL leading World Series championship team, I don't know if the narrative can ever change in like a 15 to 20-year span like the Patriots narrative changed, or like the Warriors, a 10-year span. I don't know if that can ever change on a legacy franchise like the Cardinals, a blue blood, for example. I don't know if the legacy can change in Alabama. I know that they were different before I started watching college football, but Alabama now, ask anybody my age, that's the dynasty of all dynasties.
Yeah.
I don't know if a 5-year span can change that.
Well, then it just gets back to trying to return to the glory years of, you know,
Like
I mean,
the
they still
Cowboys.
talk about the 85 Bears in Chicago.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
talking about a 40th anniversary coming up.
Yeah.
But that's what's still talked about. And that was, I mean, they had a run, but they never got back to the Super Bowl with that team. So, you know, legacy, the Cardinals have it. And the Cardinals, I felt, had it in 2000, as weird as that is. But then I think about mathematically, they hadn't been to a World Series in 13 years.
Yeah.
But they had been to the NLCS and were a win away from a World Series against the Yankees in 96. And you had the McGuire distraction from the team's failures in 97, 98, 99. So the Cardinals hadn't really been irrelevant. This is the first time with 2023. And then I don't know what will wind up happening with this. I would imagine they'll be in it until the end. I would be surprised if they weren't. I think what more people in St. Louis are interested in when it comes to the Cardinals in 2024 is the direction they take at the trade deadline. That, I think, is what gets people more engaged as opposed to night-by-night wins and losses.
Would agree.
Unless there is a significant streak one way or the other. Your thoughts? It's 1037 314-399-9646 and the YouTube chat active as all get out. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson, with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals win last night in their first game against the Pirates. Final score of 7-4. They take on the Pirates again tonight. 5:40 p.m. is your first pitch, and sources are reporting that LeBron James will be staying with the Los Angeles Lakers on a $104 million deal over 2 years. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Jackson, 19 minutes away from the 4th of July holiday weekend, a 4-day weekend for many. And I know you're heading down to the lake right after the show. What are your plans?
Yeah, so Southampton this afternoon. Hopefully the rain clears up.
I guess I just thought you were going to the Lake of the Ozarks. You're actually going to the Hamptons.
No, I know. That's what people around here you say oh, I'm going to the lake, and it's meaning one thing. You live in another area of this metro area, and then going to the lake means another thing.
And people call the Hamptons the lake?
Well,
Interesting. To try to throw people off their scent because they don't want to brag about being able to go to the Hamptons?
You say something like Southampton, people are they're immediately okay, we get it. But, it's not, this is just, it's everyday stuff here. And so, I'll be heading out there, hopefully land by this afternoon. And then.
Are you flying into Teterboro?
Yeah. Yep. And then it's obviously an Escalade to Hamptons. Heavy traffic, so maybe get there by early evening, but just in time for Oysters Rockefeller waterside.
Jeez, I was just hoping to take my kids to Wet Willie's.
Hey, listen, everyone else, what's the beer commercial? Find your beach, just find whatever makes you comfortable.
Oh, like Adam Sandler and Chris Farley.
I'm always comfortable in their presence. Rest in peace, Chris Farley.
Thank you. 314-399-9646 is how you can text in the Air Comfort Service text line. Have a fun and safe 4th, guys. Great show as always. That's from the 217. I'm uncomfortable with that text. That was pleasant and kind.
Yeah, get out of here. Ew.
I don't know what. I feel like there's another text coming.
Shoe's going to drop.
Yeah.
That's how it usually goes.
Have a great time, Jackson. Lisa celebrating you going to the Hamptons.
You bet.
She's a gem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Hamptons for the holiday, the weekend will be spent in Nantucket.
Mizzou lost so much talent on the defensive side to the draft that I am very concerned about how they're going to rebound. I am hammering the season total of wins of 9.5 under, even though it destroys my soul. That's from the 314.
A lot on the secondary. When you say defensive, mostly it's almost all secondary, but they were able to get some good transfers. Taranio Pride, St. Louis native, was a Clemson, got him on the secondary. So you have some guys to replace, but I share your concern about the defensive side of the ball. Also, Blake Baker.
For me, $100 is something I got to ask my wife about. For you, it's $100,000.
Right.
So if you had to put $100,000 on the over or the under of 9.5 in the Missouri season win total, where are you putting it?
I have to say the under because of injuries. Injuries happen, and I'm a little bit nervous that while the team I think is really good, they are one injury to a certain player away from being very mediocre. I think that would be the case if Brady Cook were to get hurt. That would be the case if they had injuries on the offensive line, and it would be the case if Luther Burden got hurt. And that's what gives me just the slightest bit. But
so you're putting $100,000 on the under.
If someone told me that the main guys will stay healthy, when I mean main guys, Brady Cook, Luther Burden, most of the big pieces on the offensive line, Winery, whatever you may say, Theo Weiss, if they said they're going to be healthy throughout the season, I would take the over. But obviously I don't know that, so because of that, I will take the under.
Missouri sucks. That's from the 618.
Good take. Sick. Happy 4th.
The difference between the Blues and the Cardinals is the transparency and messaging. Army talks to the fan base. Mo speaks down to his fan base.
I think that is a true, and I think I understand where they're coming from, is what I'm going to say, but I think it lacks a little bit of the nuance and the historical context of both franchises. To me, at least, the Cardinals have been this larger-than-life blue blood, while the Blues, and I'm not saying this to be a shot.
Oh, no.
But
not on the 4th of July. Not on the 4th of July.
But when I was growing up and sports conscious, we had the Cardinals, Blues, and Rams. And to me, the Blues fans were the few and the proud, just in terms of general volume of fans. They had a smaller fan base relative to the Cardinals and Rams, but they were way more so proud, so into the team, so super emotionally invested. So I think that plays a role in some of the judgment of messaging or just general examination of both franchises.
I don't see how the Blues being the smallest fan base in the 2000s of the three has anything to do with the messaging in 2024. And I'm just looking for you to explain that. But
So less about the messaging, and if I said that, my apologies, more the perception of the franchise. Because they hadn't won up until 2019, but the fans were still super passionate. Cardinal fans super passionate, but there would be more reasoning behind their passion. They've won 11 World Series, or 10 or 9 before 06. However, I think that because the Blues hadn't won one, and the Rams won 5 years into their tenure here, because they hadn't won, there was such a hunger for it. And so I think it was a more positive reaction to it as opposed to the Cardinals who had built up the expectations. The Blues hadn't built up the expectations like the Cardinals had.
Yeah, I follow that, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I don't see the relation to what this texter is saying is the difference between the Blues and Cardinals is the transparency and messaging. And so to me, he's talking about present day with Army talks to the fan base. Mo speaks down to his fan base, or to the Cardinal fan base. And whether it's accurate or not, I will say that I think that what this person who texted that in, there are a lot of people who feel that way. And it's one of those things that really sucks. I recall there was a time, it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was kind of hitting John Mazalek with hey, there's a lot. This is 5 or 6 years ago. This isn't like last season. There's a lot of frustration amongst the fan base regarding the lack of this or that move or this particular move that was made. And how would you respond to fans that are frustrated? And his response was, and I know you were on the show at the time, was a Russell Crowe tribute from Gladiator. Are you not entertained? In other words, look at what we've been doing, and so I think, and no one there has told me this, to be crystal clear, but my sense is that there is a feeling of this isn't easy, and we've been able to do it damn near year in and year out since 2000, and it's it's never good enough.
Yeah.
And we're market 21, and yeah, you might see 3 million fans, but our television deal versus other television deals is in 2 other stratospheres. Secondarily, our television deal, we have no idea what it's going to be, and you want us to spend like the Mets and Yankees and take your pick of Dodgers, and it's not realistic. Now, that is where I would personally advise presenting that perspective, if in fact that is the perspective, which I, by the way, would respect if it were, as opposed to spinning. And that's why the Blues methodology, I think, comes off as more genuine, and therefore they have more equity with fans. But I think the Cardinals could have that equity, but they choose to not say some of the things that I think may help. And listen, you're never going to get, it's like an apology on Twitter. No matter what, it's going to be crapped on.
Yep.
But for the people who are open-minded about it, you're going to reach them. And they're not necessarily the ones who are going to be dog avataring on Twitter, but they're going to, okay, that helps me understand better. And so I think that would help the organization, because there is a whether it be distrust or dislike between the fan base and the organization at the moment. That's something that is crazy to think about. I also think, if you think about, and I know you were, too young when this happened, but when the Patriots beat the Rams, the country was just super excited about it. By the time the Patriots were there, 4 or 5 more times, the country was cheering against the Patriots.
Yeah.
So think about an NCAA tournament game. Who's the country cheering for if it's whoever you want to? Duke would be a perfect example.
Lehigh versus Duke.
Perfect.
What's up, CJ McCollum?
You're cheering for Lehigh all day long.
Yep.
You know, so you like the upstart. But if Lehigh turned into Gonzaga over the next decade,
Yeah, good call.
You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
So that's the way that people kind of grow tired of that which was an upstart. Certainly that happened with the New England Patriots. All right, it's Balloon Party. Got one segment left. BK and Ferrario then will join us. Jackson Burkett, Tim McKernan with you. This is 101 ESPN. Welcome back. Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Bennett Burkett with you. Jackson, we have 5 minutes. How are you going to use those 5 minutes? It's up to you.
It's a good question, Tim. This is a really good question. This is not, but that's the thing, is this isn't. Quickly, I figure we'll touch on this. The Blues extend Pavel Buchnevich to a 6-year contract.
I don't like when somebody says we'll touch on it. It's like we're getting it out of the way. It's like, we got to go knock this out real quick.
Well, I mean, just based on the time we have, that's why it was. I didn't mean to make the Pavel Buchnevich signing.
I've never been angrier.
Should I apologize to Pavel? Is it Pavel or Pavel?
There you go, Pavel.
Pavel
Buchnevich.
In Dark Knight Rises, there was a character named Dr. Pavel, and so I always go back to that. Bane snapped his neck on Heinz Field.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I wonder. No, it probably would have been a touch late. I wonder if Kerry Davis got reached, because a bunch of the Steelers players were in the movie, like running on the field. I wonder if Kerry Davis got reached out to on that.
Why don't you walk into the Fastlane studio right at 2 o'clock?
I might ask him. I also want to ask Joe Buck if they reached out to him for the Longest Yard remake, because they went with Chris Berman, but I think Joe Buck would have been better. Chris
Berman was in the final scene.
Yeah, and I wish.
Spoiler alert!
I wish it would have been Joe Buck.
What do I think on the Pavel Buchnevich? You asked that question if I thought that they were going to keep him.
Right.
And I wanted to give a take, but the truth is I just did not have a feeling one way or the other. And so I said, this might not be great sports talk radio, but I'll always default to honesty, because this show is called Honesty in Media.
Bingo.
And I said, I really don't know. What I find to be intriguing about this move is how I notice some people are really on board with it, and I notice some people are really not on board with it with regard to reaction. My reaction is I like it in one sense. That sense is, okay, then I guess I can hope that they can get into the playoffs this year, be kind of like it was this past season, where they were kind of lurking, even though you knew toward the end it was highly unlikely. But as far as matching up with when the Blues are likely to have another window, I don't know.
Does it give you shades, and not because of age, but just in general on the mindset, shades of the Cardinals signing Wilson Contreras, where...
No.
Okay.
No. My issue with the Contreras signing is that the Cardinals pivoted off of what they were going to do and then panicked and overpaid.
Sure. Yeah, not the case here.
That's my issue with the Wilson Contreras thing. That's not the Cardinals were, and I'm sure they believe, considering you have Goldschmidt and Arenado, in a window.
Right.
This is a different set of circumstances, and so I suppose if you did want to draw a parallel to it, my similar commentary on Contreras, when the deal is over, will it be looked on favorably? And I would be surprised if it would be looked on favorably by fans when the deal is over.
I think it's a good way to examine a trade or a move.
Because anybody can go, oh, why'd you play the hand that way when the cards are turned over?
Right.
It's about judging it in the moment and then giving people your reasoning. And my reasoning is, I don't think that the Blues are in a spot where they're a Pavel Buchnevich extension away from being cup contenders. Now, if some guys accelerate as far as their pace to being real factors at the NHL level, and now you've got this guy who, whether he's playing with Thomas and Kyrou on the top line, or you drop him down and have him at center on the second line, at least in the near term, you've helped solidify that. I mean, that is an exciting line to think about as far as potential goes with that top line. I still feel like there is the major issue is the dollars that are allocated to defensemen who just aren't going to live remotely close up to what they're being paid.
Sure.
And so they're kind of stuck. And that's why I would just rather not see something. I guess I see both sides of it. As a fan, I'm excited because now I can go, okay, they may have a shot to get into the playoffs this year. But realistically, I just don't necessarily seeing it being the move that goes, okay, now they're ready to go. All right, Jackson, it's time to go. It's 11 o'clock. BK and Ferrari up next. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. We will be back on Monday. For Jackson Bennett Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency is my insurance agent. He's online at carltoninsurance.net. His number is 314-961-4800, and he joins us right now. Good morning, James.